All right, the music wasn't too loud for you guys, was it? It gets a little louder when it comes on, doesn't it?
No, that sounded good.
Yeah, it
All
sounds
right.
good. Sound good.
All right. All right. So JD here, 701 Nation. Got my guest tonight, John Arman from Team UOA, and Wayne Muth, outdoor writer. Wayne, you write for Dakota Country, right? And Bowhunter magazine.
Yeah, yeah. I've had some recent articles in both those magazines, as well as various other ones over the last or over the many years. Even Bear Hunter magazine, Eastman's, several others across this national wide and as well as local. So it's been
Awesome.
good.
Yeah, he got some good articles there. Wayne's got some real good articles about deer antlers for sure. I've been reading those. It's pretty awesome. John, how's the show been going, buddy?
No complaints, just kind of plucking away. And things have changed over the last couple of years, just as we've gotten older. And Kurt is kind of bowed out from the show. He spends more time up at the lake fishing with his family, which is good.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
Jason's kind of running left and right, but he still joins me on some hunts. My daughter moved away, but I've got some other guys helping out, and I'm still plugging away at it.
Yeah, I heard Shelby was on Scott's show Saturday. It was a pretty good show, actually. I
Yeah.
thought that was pretty good. I listened to that on the way. I was heading to the farm listening to it. So, but yeah, tonight we're gonna hit on. Wayne talked to me here about a little over a month ago, probably. Wayne talking. We want to bring up some
Mhm.
things. We said three things. We're gonna go over three things each of us learned over the years about hunting, but whether we get to all three of them from each of us or not, we'll see how that goes. So I'll get to the chats here in a second, guys. I see everybody's starting to chime in here. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you. Good evening to all of you. But Wayne, since you got a hold of me, we talked about this. Why don't you want to go ahead and lead off with your first one here?
Sure. I kind of started this probably several years ago. I just started listing what I've learned, and some of the things are pretty not politically correct if you think about it. I mean,
Perfect.
there's things that I believe that I can make a comment about mechanical broadheads versus fixed bait broadheads, or people should stop hunting mule deer and just hunt whitetails and leave the mule deer to me. I
Yeah,
mean, that would be some of the
I
things that I
feel you
wish
on
they would
that.
do, but yeah. But so I kind of came up with some things, but you really learn things over the years. So I just kind of came up with some ideas and said, it'd be good to have some guys together, talk about it. And the others can call you out and say, Wayne, you're full of crap on this. I don't believe that. This is what I think. But just kind of to start it off, it's kind of like, you know, I really think that to be consistent to taking good quality bucks, you've got to hunt where the bucks are, and that it's kind of a no-brainer, you'd think, but I kind of truncate that a little bit and say, okay, you have to hunt where those deer are during a particular time of year. So there's only about 10 to 15% of country that you're going to find whole deer. So those bucks are going to frequent the same spots during the same time of year. So it can be very consistent in most terrains, and you're going to find the bucks in the same places in early September. You won't find them in those places in November. So the advantage of hunting on the same areas on a regular basis, and I'll bet you John can attest to this, is that he will find that in his property he's going to see those bucks in certain spots during certain times of the year. So that's really a good way to pattern them, and you're going to find those pockets where they're going to be. And then the best time of day to find those bucks are like a half hour before sunrise, half hour after sunset. And that again, of course, is a no-brainer, but you have to be in your spots, ready to hunt, ready to go at those times.
So
So those are some of the things I've learned, and you know you 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 can get into a whole bunch of details of how you want to spot these, if you're going up on a high point and looking at that, or if you're going to go down and start stalking them right away, or you're going to wait for them to bed, or whatever you're going to do. But you know got to hunt where the deer are, and that would be my first thing that I've learned. And it's because when we first started hunting, you really didn't hunt sometimes where the deer are. You just wanted to be out there in
right.
the field. And it's kind of like the five stages of hunting. We could talk about those too. That you want to get out there and just see deer, just have exposure to them. But then you come back to those areas and there's no deer there, and you think, what are you doing wrong? So,
So do you
I mean,
think? Do you,
that would be my first part. Yeah.
so do you think you see more deer in the morning or the evenings, Wayne? And does it matter the species, or does it doesn't really matter? You think, or what? in your opinion? What
You know, I
experience?
I'm a morning hunter. I would rather hunt mornings. I just think it's
Me too.
I love mornings. You know, it's you have that opportunity if you, especially like early season, you have to think about there's for quality, and I always talk about quality mature bucks. When you hunt the Badlands, for example, or you hunt mule deer, there's certain times a year that they're very vulnerable. So being out there early in the mornings and those first 15 days of the opening of the bow season, it's very vulnerable for the quality deer. So once you get out there and you start hunting those, you're going to be able to, if you're there early in the morning, you find those bucks, you can follow them, you can watch where they bed, you can now know where they're at in the evening when they're coming back out. If you're just an evening hunter, then darkness sets in pretty fast. You know, in that last half hour, you got to be right on top of them if you're going to be able to shoot them,
Yeah.
or you got to come back the next day. So,
I've
yeah,
always I've always found seems the morning hunt's more successful where I'm at. Not that we don't see them in the evening or get them in the evening because we do, but that's the way it is up on our place there. And John, what's it like down at your place?
Well, the one thing what Wayne was saying is that, well, a couple things, hunting where the bucks are at, you can't kill them if they're not there.
Hmm.
And that's, when people say, do you kill a 180-inch deer? No, if I had a 180-inch deer in my place, I would say that I'm going to kill it. But I don't have
Yeah,
it there, so I'm not going to kill it. And it's the same with no matter what size deer, you got to be in that area where they're going to be at that time of year. And as far as the morning versus evening, the great thing about morning is you got 10 hours to kill them. In the evening, you got 3 hours, and sometimes they come out right at last light. You always run out of daylight. And the
yeah,
morning is nice that you have more time. And for us, bow hunting wise, we kill 99.9% of our deer at night or in the evening because we only hunt evenings with our bows.
hmm,
Just the way our place
mhm.
is set up for bow hunting, you can't really get in the mornings. Sometimes late season you can because they're coming in later when it's colder. But for the most part, we're only killing them in the evenings. And with rifle, though, it's totally different. We love getting on those vantage points and you sit on those hills all day long and you see a lot of activity. Those mornings are magical.
yeah. I like that.
Yeah,
One thing I like about morning hunts too is I like to gut my deer in the daylight instead of at dark if you got to track one. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Another point on that, guys, and I don't know if you found this, John, but full moon versus a new moon. On a full moon, it is better to hunt, and that's what I found. This is during the rut. Now I'm gonna, truncate this to the rut. So when the rut is on and you have a full moon out, what I have found is that you will find less activity in the early morning for bucks, and because they have a tendency to slow down and rest right at dawn, and then let's say 2 o'clock in the afternoon they start picking up for that rutting activity again. So on a full moon, the later in the afternoon is usually better, and then whereas a new moon, they're usually breeding more during that early morning hours and into the daytime, into the noontime area. Then they rest in the afternoon, and they breed more at night during that time. So I mean, it's new moons. I hunt more in the mornings, and you find more deer in the mornings. Full moons, it's more in the afternoons. So
that's good info. I should. Yeah, I actually never did that before. I should. I'm gonna have to try that actually.
Yeah, I think, when I was a kid, when I first moved out here, south of Mary College, the CRP and cover was amazing. And the amount of deer coming up from the river bottoms, it was insane. And I would keep a diary every day. And I always said I wasn't scientific enough to figure it completely out because I sometimes don't think past my nose. But there's always those 2 or 3 days a month that are absolutely insane with movement and magical.
Yep.
And I was listening to a
mhm,
podcast, and I don't know if it was Big and Jay, but they had that, what's his name on there? He kills 200-inch deer. Adam Hayes or one of those guys, but 200-inch deer,
mhm,
like consistently. And he goes by that moon phase. And I bought the app for a little bit, and it was funny that it doesn't always work, but I would say the majority of the time
mhm,
when he said the deer, because of the moon phase, what Wayne is saying, we're going to be on their feet in the morning versus the evening. I'd get my trail cameras bing, 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 bing. And of course, I'm sitting at home because I can't
mhm.
hunt. And because it's during the week. But I would say that moon phase is huge. If I had a chance to set up a hunt, I would set it up around the moon phase. If I only had a certain amount of time and I had to take it off, much rather hunt certain phases of the moon. And like I said, I think it could be instrumental in killing your deer.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna definitely give it a go in bow season this year because I'm not gonna put in for a rifle tag this year because I know a lot of people who hunt on our land, our family and friends, they're gonna get drawn this year, and even if I would get drawn, I just think there's too many people rifle hunting out there. So I'm gonna give
Hey,
it a
Yeah.
go with the bow.
executive decision, man.
Yeah, right, right. I know some of my buddies are like,
Yeah.
Sorry,
really?
Yeah.
sorry, Healy. I got drawn again.
Yeah.
Healy's going to be one who's probably going to get drawn, but Healy holds
Yeah.
he has a record for the biggest mule deer buck on our property
I
point. So
remember that.
it was
Hmm.
almost beat this year, but my buddy didn't get quite the shot, and a big one got away. I don't know if I ever showed you that video, John, but I
Huh.
never did post it. I'll have to show you sometime, but
Yeah,
The
cool.
big ones always get
yeah,
away,
yeah, it would have
Jamie. Yeah, big ones
been
always get
probably
away.
about a 190 actually. It would have been
Really.
nobody. And I told the people around that area what happened. I said, "Hey, you guys find the antlers. I mean, whatever. You can get
Hmm.
yourself a carcass tag or whatever you got to get and keep it. You don't have to." But nobody's found it yet. I even asked last
Yeah.
weekend, anybody found it? Nope. And our neighbor, he's a huge bow hunter and scout, and yeah, he's sniffing around, but he's never found it either. So who
Yeah.
knows? I think it
You
went
know,
into
we
some
thought,
CRP in the tall grass. That's my opinion. I think he did and died in there. And if you went in there, you were never going to find it last year, as tall as that grass
sure.
was. So
Yeah. You know what John was saying about the moon phases too. The guys that are elk hunters out there, you can also use that, and that's really it. Really can make or break a hunt for elk hunting because when I lived in Montana, we would not go out or try to avoid that full moon during the times when you want to bugle them because they bugle all night. They're moving all night. And in the mornings they settle down. In the afternoons is better, of course, but and that's what we've recognized too with the bull elk. We call in. My buddy Kevin and I went out the first few days. We had this full moon, and man, we'd be hiking in the morning. Those bulls would be bugling, screaming. They'd be screaming all night. We were hearing them in the tent, and get out there, and you couldn't get them to talk. And then all of a sudden, in the evenings, we started pulling in bulls again. But it was that evening on, so that was really a set an example of where those animals will be and what their activity is in the moon phases. It really makes a difference. It's like, I worked in healthcare, and John's wife can maybe attest to this too. During the full moon, all the nut cases come out. So, you know,
I'm a school
they
teacher,
always
buddy,
end
and
up
I
in
can
the
tell you
ER.
exactly when the full moon is.
There you
Because our kids go off their rockers, and anytime there's a change in the pressure, it's insane. A guy
Yeah.
could do a heck of a study as a school teacher on what kind of day you're going to have because of the weather or the moon.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to hit some comments here, and John, you're next up on deck here, so we'll get to these comments, and we'll hit yours, and we'll go from there. So Brian Warner, evening, Brian. Brian's always listening. In fact, had Brian and his dad on the last show talking sausage making. You missed that one? Get on iHeart and check that out. It was a great show. Josh Patterson, what's up, buddy? Brandon George, he's on. What's up, Brandon? One shot cap. Howdy, 701 Nation. Lynette, she said, "Hey guys, I'm not sure if the Florida group is here, but she's watching this great podcast. Appreciate that." Lynette, her husband's actually down with Clay and some guys in Florida. They're on a big hog hunt down there with the Rax Adventure team. And let's see, yeah, Brandon, he loves hunting mornings. Unfortunately, most of his go in the
Mhm.
afternoon. Yeah, he said he saw the video too. It was actually Brandon's dad. He said that thing was a monster. It was actually. So we got a former full-time bartender. I had the full moon phase down. So Brandon said that. So
Hey, what's Brandon's dad's name?
Yeah.
Travis George.
Okay, Brandon, I'll just let you know I used to play hockey with your dad.
There you go. Yeah, I think Trav might actually finally retired this year from playing league hockey, but
Oh,
he
wow.
had but he lost a bunch of weight. He had a little heart surgery going. He's doing pretty good now. He actually kept up real good. He struggled a few years there keeping up with us stalking deer and during deer season, but this year, man, he was taking lead on a lot of stocks. So it
Well,
was great.
that's awesome.
All right, John,
Yeah.
why don't you hit us up with one of the things you learned here over the years of hunting, and you've got a lot more years than it on me. Not just because you're
Yeah,
older, but
one thing
you're
I've
just
learned is I'm not as good as I think I am.
I've learned that one myself too. It'll humble you, right?
I've
That's
learned
Yeah, I
over the
think we've
years.
all got that one.
yeah, and mine's a little bit more not like it's so technical or anything like that. It's just that I've learned that it truly the kill doesn't make the hunt. The older I get, the more I just enjoy.
Mhm.
I was talking to someone the other day, and it's like honestly, you get out there, and whether you're helping a first time hunter or whatever, and with filming, I've really learned to appreciate it because over the years, you give up half of your tags basically to
Yeah.
film your buddy. But I had just as much fun if Kurt killed something or Jason or my daughter. You get just as excited being there, just being a part of it, just being out there is super enjoyable. And I think that everybody goes through, like Wayne was talking about, the stages of being a hunter. And you almost wish that you could get there, show people a little glimpse down the road so they're not so intense
Mhm.
and freaking out all the time because it really has like almost zero to do with the kill later on.
Hmm. Yeah, I actually the 5 stages of the hunter. One of the last live streams I did for guns in the 701 was it. Well, it was that, and I agree with you. When the guy's
Mhm.
younger, all you just want to get that kill, and if you're bird hunting, you want to be the first guy to get your limit. And you want to get, and if you're deer hunting, you want to get the biggest buck or whatever. And I'm definitely, I mean, my buddies who hunt with me can attest to that. Travis Healy, and some Travis's boys and my uncle. I mean, I'm not. I like to get a big one, but you know what? I love it when them guys get one. It gets me just. I'd say anymore. I get just as jacked for them getting one as when Healy got that big one a few years ago. John, I was so damn excited when I seen that thing. I pulled out my mule to help him and seen it, and I can't say what I mean. I could say it, but I'm not gonna. When I seen the dang thing, and yeah, that's awesome. I love that. I definitely love that kind of stuff. No, some people don't get
Yeah.
it, but you're definitely right on that. I definitely have learned that lesson over the years
Right. And
myself.
and that's always I've always been amazed at guys that are solo hunters. I personally do not I don't understand it. I love to hunt. I mean, my passion for hunting is there's it's next to the top guys. I just love to do it. But I like to share it with someone. I feel it's fun to go out
Mhm.
there by myself, and I've done a few over the years. Where I shot my a buck 2 years ago in that deep snow by myself, and honestly, it was anticlimactic. There was no celebration afterwards. There was no, it was more about me just killing it and getting it on film, which that's not what I'm about. I mean, yes, I am about that, and you got to kill them and
Hmm.
do all that stuff, but I miss the high fives with the buddies and having a whiskey down at the cabin,
For
going
sure.
outside and scoring the deer when it was midnight and freaking cold as heck out there. That's all the fun stuff. Waking up with a little bit of a headache and then going out and looking at them again. I came back to the cabin. Levi was nice enough to come down, take pictures. We had a beer, and then I went home. And it was like, yeah,
I always say the two biggest, my muley and my whitetail, those are definitely my not my most enjoyable. You know, both of them were pretty luck. Well, the whitetail for sure was 100% luck, but I mean, there wasn't really a whole lot of skill involved in how I got those two. But
mhm,
this last year, well, this season when I got mine, I mean, it was a long stock. And Travis was with me on it, and I long story short, we had to track it and it ended up getting it. But I mean, I think that was when we finally got him. Man, I was so jacked up, and Trav and I were high fiving and hugging. It
yep,
was freaking awesome. And he ain't even a big deer. He's just a 3x3, real tall. His back tines are tall, mule deer, 18 inches wide. But I seen him before the season, and I liked him anyways. I think I sent you guys a video of him. I said, "Look at this," and some people were
yep,
kind of on me. Nah, you don't want him, and I'm like, "Yeah, I like that deer. I ain't gonna bother me to get him," and I
no,
got him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right, we're gonna hit a commercial here, guys. Let's give our sponsors some love, and then when we come back, I'll give you my first one on what I've learned over
Okay.
hunting. So here we go. We're gonna do one right here, and then we'll do the double out on the second one. So here's our main sponsor, Lauer.
Auto Repair, located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Give them a call at 701-258-6308.
The team of mechanics at Lauer Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with Lauer, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake.
Make no mistake.
Lauer Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at Lauer Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's Lauer Auto Repair, 701-258-6308.
701-258-6308.
Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Right on. Thanks, Lauer Auto. First one got on board with us, and he's still here. Doug and the boys down there. And if you go down get your vehicle repaired or an oil change or anything, make sure you tell them you heard it on Guns in the 701 or 701 Nation, because, hey, that helps out when they know you're listening. So
I told you, Jamie, that those guys, Keith and I forget the other gentleman, my vehicles were in there, my truck, my GMC back when I was a kid, they did all the work on our family's vehicles there.
awesome. Yeah, Keith and Kevin's in there, and now Doug's part owner too. So yeah, I swing in on a regular basis and drop off a case of Pounders for them now and then, just to, boys like to enjoy a freshman after work on occasion.
There
But
you go.
well, okay, I'll hit a few more comments here, then I'll hit my thing. Lynette K says full moon is incredibly disruptive for dementia people, which she works with a lot of older people like that, like in-home care and that.
Interesting.
Josh Patterson says, now that my boy hunts, I get more excited for him to get a deer or a bird than I do myself. Absolutely, John. Hey, there we go. Corey Merriman down from Florida. Hog Crew says hi. Hey, guys, good luck down there. I seen they're getting a few of them. And all right, and Lynette, awesome. She loves it. So all right, let's hit it here. I'm not as deep a thinker as you guys.
Jamie, hang on.
What's that, Wayne?
1 second, Jamie.
Yeah.
Jamie, I just want to
go for it.
comment on John's real quick, okay?
Okay, yeah, go for
I
it.
think he had my third one he had taken. So I totally agree that is the older we get, the more we want to share it with others. And I think the older we get, we remain calm when drawing down on an animal, and when that greater excitement comes later. And it's just really fun to share. And I have 3 daughters-in-law right now, and 2 of them we've taken out and killed animals. My longest daughter-in-law that we've had, Kayla, she loves it out there. She's killed a nice muley buck, and she's killed some does and whatnot, and she just wants to get back out there. And I've got one more of my daughter-in-laws that I got to get out to get a kill yet, and we'll see if we can get her there. But
awesome.
and a good example of sharing that is we were out antelope hunting down south. 2 of my sons had tags, and I didn't have a tag. I was just carrying my bow tag, and I saw some bucks in this rolling prairie hills way down south. And I said, hey, let's see how close we can get to these, because there was one buck in the bunch that I'd probably shoot. He's a big 3-pointer. And I got them all within 75 yards of these deer bedded down. And then I went the last 35 yards and I shot the biggest one out of the bunch. And to have them all there with that was just so much fun. I could see where John really gets excited having a cameraman and everybody else with when you're doing that. And having the others to help out spot things is really good too. Of course, when you're getting that close, you have to be that much more careful because you're making twice or 3 or 4 times as much noise. So that takes a little bit too. But yeah, great comment, John. I totally agree.
Yeah, that's it's fun. I love my kid. My youngest is getting hunter safety here. Actually, John, she's taking it with Healy's youngest boy, and we're hoping they get out this youth season and get harvest that doe, right?
All right.
Yeah. So I got some nice 223 rounds loaded up for him, some deer rounds. So we're gonna keep it in 150 yards and in. So, and I told them though, if they're gonna do it, you got to practice. You ain't just gonna get it and go out there and hit one in the gut or the rear end or something. I want a good shot. They need to know that you want to take that animal as fast and clean as you can, which leads right into one thing I've learned about hunting right here. It's you see a lot of things, or you hear a lot of people tell you, I got 20 round box of ammo, and I've used it 10 years, and there's only 10 rounds gone because I got 10 deer. I'm not saying that isn't true for some people, but for the most part, the one shot, one kill thing over the years I've learned, totally not realistic. And I've seen some shows, not yours, John, but I'm saying I've seen some hunting shows, and I seen where the bullet went in, and I'm like, I know you guys had to go up and finish that thing off, you know.
And
So
that's the thing for us is that almost I can remember I'm looking at a couple mule deer. I shot a mule deer one time and I hit him a little bit low, a little bit forward, and took that front shoulder out.
mhm.
And yeah, we filmed it, and he jumped up in front of me, and I shot him as he's running. And then he fell and he broke his antler off.
No
So,
way.
and but we showed. I mean, that's one of the things that I get frustrated with some of these shows is that if you hit him in the guts, you don't say I smoked him.
Right,
You know?
which they do, yeah.
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 And that's bow or
Yeah,
rifle for
exactly.
sure.
Right.
I've seen some, and
Yep. I mean, if we make a bad shot, it's like we look and it's like, I hit him a little low. I shot my antelope this year. I'm
Ooh.
like, man, this looks a little low. Maybe caught him in the heart, but no, I had to do a spot and stalk on him and got another arrow on him, which
mhm.
again, we showed the whole thing because that is part of hunting. I mean, I wish I was perfect,
Yep.
but I
Yep,
probably missed more animals than I've killed. So it's just part of it.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I got back into deer hunting, I said, I've never missed a deer I've killed. Well, guess what? I got I got humbled on that. I mean, the first year or two I didn't, but yeah, since then, and I've been back into it about 15, 16 years, and yeah, I've missed some. Um, Big, huge 3x3 a couple years ago. I still think of that sucker when I get up on this big hilltop out the farm and look, and I was like, yep, that's right where I was, and I missed them, and I still can't believe it. It was 400 yards, and you're at the gun range, and you can shoot a damn pop can off the top of the target stand, but you get out there and you're on a little hillside or something, or it's not the same. And so yeah, and then this year it wasn't a one shot, one kill. I did a stream on it. I hit him twice, perfect. I mean, offhand, probably the best offhand shots I've ever made on an animal, and put two of them within probably 4 inches of each other at 150, and I shot again at 180, and there are two big holes in his shoulder, but the bullet didn't penetrate. And yeah, we had to went and found him, stopped, looked around for a couple hours and found him, and then took care of him. But yeah, that's the one shot, one kill. I've learned that's that's a myth. Not all the time, but it's definitely not true all the time. So
No.
all right, Wayne,
Yeah.
let's get back to you, buddy. Let's get to round two here. What do you got for us?
Let's see. This is one that my wife will like because if your wife is your best friend, she can also be your best hunting partner. And I really truly believe that. Judy, my wife Judy, she loves to get out there and hunt. And she shot a lot of good mule deer, and she's really a good hunter. So when we get out there, as John mentioned, there is a negative for solo hunting because you only have yourself to rely on. Of course, you can make all the mistakes and you only have yourself to blame. Where if I'm hunting with my wife, I can always blame her for something, right?
Yeah.
But four eyes are better than two, and two heads are better than one, especially if it's your wife. And I'm just making brownie points, by the way. So,
Perfect. You're doing great.
but I mean, a great. She's not always right, though. I mean, so we were hunting once in a spot where my son had killed this 160 plus muley the few years before, and we actually had gone on there coyote hunting, and I was calling coyotes, and I bumped these three nice bucks out of this big ravine, and we were quite a ways back in there. So I thought, the next day we hiked all the way back in there with my bow and get up in there, and I found these bucks again. And we're sitting up on top glassing them, and they're in a spot that I know. I told Judy, I said, if I back out of here, we back out of here, we go all the way around, we can get in on, the wind is right, we're going to have a great spot to stalk in on, probably get a good shot. She goes, no, I think we should stay here. I think they're going to move up this draw. And I'm going, I don't know, I don't think so. And so she convinced me. We stayed there. 20 minutes later, this little front comes over, blows even harder, swirls the wind. These bucks get a wind of us, and they blew out of that canyon so fast. And it's like, here goes this 170 plus buck just running over the hill. And I could have had, and he ran right by where my stock would have been, and I would have been coming in from that angle. It'd have been perfect. I could say that now, of course, but
Of
so
course.
if your wife is a good best friend, I mean, she can be a good hunting partner. And so, guys, hopefully you're doing that and taking her along.
Well, my wife, she does have her hunter safety, and she said she was going to go hunting with me at one point. Never happened. I mean, she comes shooting with me now and then, but even now, it's kind of hard. But and my oldest put in for one once, and then she didn't want to do it. But now my youngest, I made sure, like I said, hopefully she's my hunting. She's going to be my hunting buddy. So, and we got plenty of
Hmm.
we got plenty other people to help her out hunting. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I
If your
took my
wife's
wife
not and the
hunting one
kids get
time.
it, one
what's
time.
that, John?
I took my wife hunting one time.
Never went again. I'm guessing that didn't go so well.
Yeah,
Then.
you know, it was funny because she worked for a doctor and he had a buffalo ranch and he wanted us to come and film a buffalo hunt in the worst way. And I just told him, I said, yeah, I'm not really into shooting a buffalo. And he just kept begging us, begging us. So we all went down there. We took our wives, thinking it was going to be a slam dunk. And, you know, he had a beautiful lodge. We, you know, had a good first evening, and then we started hunting the buffalo, and it was brutal. I mean,
Hmm.
we told them, yeah, we'll probably be in by 5 o'clock. You know, we'll be able to go into town. We couldn't even find a buffalo for half the
Oh.
day, and then it went downhill from there. I'm not going to say which one of my cohorts ended up drinking too much and got sick. Um, and
Somebody else does that.
yeah, so it was just a kind of a bad experience, and I don't think she talked to me all the way home. And right then, we just decided that we both have our separate lives, and we will have one together, but they are not going to be together hunting.
Yep. Which, in my experience, that's the way it goes with even my grandparents on my mom's side. They hunted. I mean, ever since I can even remember, they hunted deer and antelope together, and
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, they got along great. But they still sometimes they come back from hunting and they weren't talking.
Yeah,
Something happened, and
I honestly, and it's like my daughter hunts with her boyfriend all the time. It's nonstop, and I'm the guy that, like I said, I love my wife, you know, more than life itself. But we have learned that I have this life over here, she's got this life over
yep,
here, and we have this together. And without this one of me being with my
Yeah.
buddies, and without this one with her being with her friends and her animals and stuff like that, we wouldn't have this together. And so I think if me and
Right.
my wife and I were together all the time, it would be
yeah. Oh, for sure.
it'd be
Yeah.
that. So,
Yeah.
and that's just the way she and I are wired. And plus, she breaks for gophers. She doesn't like anything to die, even though she understands all the time. I mean, she tells a story when she was younger. She hit or ran over a bird or found a bird. She put it in her basket. She went home and put band-aids on it and tried to save
Oh
its life. And
goodness.
then buried it.
I've done that with
Interesting.
raccoons when I was younger, but now when I see them, it's like you're making a mess of things.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. But
But
I also do I do a lot of solo hunting too. So maybe
Well,
that's the transition when I hunted with,
like I said,
one
some guys
person too
love it. I
much.
said, and I even told Shelby and Connor, I told my daughter, I said, as much as you love hunting with him, you need to let him go with the boys too.
yeah,
Mhm.
well, when you're younger, you do a lot of stuff that you normally wouldn't do. You tolerate it, and not
Yeah,
that they're doing, but I'm saying, when you were younger and you didn't have kids, the wife
yeah,
was a little more apt to try and do
yeah.
something that she normally wouldn't, which happened. But yeah, I agree with you guys there on that. Let me catch up on some of these comments here. Brandon says nothing worse than gut shot deer. Yeah, you can hear when that gut shot too. It's just that whoop. It's not a good
Mhm.
splat. It's just that. Now you guys know the noise. It sucks, right?
I wouldn't know anything about that noise.
John only knows what it sounds like when that heart gets
I just
blown in
hear
half.
whack. That means I
Whack.
got it.
Yep, it is crumpled up,
What?
right? Troy Howard's listen. Hey, Troy, appreciate it. My mom says, great guest. Paula Odegaard, great guest. Brian Warner, if my wife didn't enjoy hunting, I'm sure I wouldn't hunt. Really? And Mama Joe got herself a nice mule deer this year, too. Plus, she's a better shot than me, he said. So,
Mhm.
I just heard I just read where that I think women are like, the increase is like 45%. So the women are really, um, there's a lot of young women and women coming into the hunting field, which is nice
Yep.
to see.
Right.
Yeah. And like
women,
women gun owners is way up too. So
yeah. And women are supposed to be, supposedly, I heard this a long time ago, that women are better shots than men because of their heart rates. Their ejection fraction is less than ours, and there's less pulses that we get when we shoot, apparently, and they're supposed to be more accurate or something. So it's been a long time since I heard it, but I heard something in that regard.
I think they're probably not trying to prove like they're really good at stuff like men are when we get out and do that stuff. Like, I'm sure you guys how to shoot and stand
We
back.
think we're great at everything, so that's why we screw up. And the women just come on and just nonchalant. It's like
That's right.
Wayne archery camp. Who's the best shots there? It's always
Yeah,
a girl.
all the girls. Yeah.
Yeah, women, man. I mean, I've had like some of my buddies bring their better halves out of their wives shooting, and some of them never even shot before. So and they shoot lights out, and they kind of embarrass their husbands or their boyfriends. And I'm just like, hey man, I've seen it happen before. Don't feel too bad about it, Because I think, like I said, I don't think they're just like, eh. And then most of them got pretty jacked up about it and liked it. To be honest, I even had one of my buddies, his wife's huge liberal, and I could see she was looking sideways at the AR, And I just loaded it up. Said, here, just go over here and dump it, and just meg dump it into the creek. Why? And I said, just do it. And then she was done, and she looked over, and I go, you see that smile? That's why you do it.
Yeah.
And then she would, precision shooting, no, too. She was shooting nice. I could put a little target out there, like I said, a pop can or something at 300, and she was drilling it. So it was awesome. And she admitted she liked it, and she was very hesitant, but she was awesome. So women I agree with
Good
that.
shots.
Women are good marksmen. There's no doubt about that. So
Yeah, Judy shot her elk at 315 yards, and for her, that's a really long shot. So she did a good
honestly,
job.
for most people, Wayne, that is a
Yeah,
long shot. For
that is a
people
long
that don't
shot,
shoot
yeah.
a whole bunch,
Yeah,
it's
I don't like taking shots that far. I would rather stretch the stock, not the shot type thing.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
do
that's
that.
kind of something I've learned over the years too. A lesson for me. I always thought it was you're going to be Joe Cool shooting this long shot, which if you do it and it works, yeah, it's pretty awesome. But for the most part, I would definitely rather have a sure shot within 300. I mean, if I can get within 150 and do it, that's even better because even if you don't hit it exactly where you want, there's so much more energy getting poured into that. Or for bow, for that matter, if you see a big one out there. I don't shoot. I got a crossbow. Yes, I have a license for it. I don't see one at 100 yards and go, oh, this is gonna be a piece of cake. No, I don't. I do not. I prefer to shoot them at 20 yards.
Yeah.
I don't care if I got a crossbow or not. It's.
Yeah. If it's a coyote and you're shooting at 400, 500
I'm letting it fly then for sure.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Big game are a little bit different in my book, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yotes are. Yodi, I don't have as much sympathy for them. So, all right, Gene Cox, he made it. Hey, Gene, appreciate it. Brianna, hey, Bree, how you doing? She's listening up in Halliday, North Dakota. Appreciate that. Haven't seen her and John out in a while. I haven't been up there much, but my cousin Dave said you can take his Filipino wife. Take her out hunting. All right, we'll do that. Get her up here, Dave. Let's get her out hunting. And I don't know if you want your wife being a better shot than you, though. If you get on her, you're in trouble. So, all right, let's do. Here's what we're gonna do, guys. I'm gonna do our second commercial break here, sponsor break, and then we come back. John, you're gonna be at the free throw line, buddy, and I know you're good at that. So,
all right, bud.
There you go.
All right, we're gonna run 2 ads, Lauer and Double H. Hang in there, guys. Let's get it done.
Auto Repair, located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Give them a call at 701-258-6308.
The team of mechanics at Lauer Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with Lauer, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no no mistake.
Make no mistake.
Lauer Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at Lauer Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's Lauer Auto Repair, 701-258-6308.
701-258-6308.
Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Discover the world of firearms at Bismarck's Double H Gun Shop. With a wide range of products from handguns to rifles, we cater to all your shooting needs. We are your local gun experts. Not only do we sell firearms, reloading supplies, targets, and whatever your heart desires, but we also have a ton of knowledge and answers.
We shoot, we hunt, we compete, we reload.
It's been the Howard's way since 1976, and we ain't fixing to change anything. Visit our website at hhgunshop.com to browse our inventory. Double H Gun Shop, Bismarck's best new and used firearm reloading supply, gunsmithing, and sporting goods store. Double H Guns.
Double H Guns.
1021 South Washington Street, Bismarck, North Dakota. Call 701-223-4888.
Right on. Appreciate our sponsors. Like I said, get in there and let them know you heard them on Guns in the 701 or 701 Nation, or you might have heard them Friday on 550 with Todd Mitchell in the morning. They're on there every Friday. But just down talking to Daryl the other day, tons of inventory, a lot of reloading stuff. He's got a bunch. He went on a used gun buying trip. And if you like some older guns there with the nice wood stocks, and Daryl's into a little more classic stuff. He's not much of an AR guy, and I don't know. The older I get, I'm kind of getting back more into the bolt actions, to be honest with you guys too. I like all guns. I mean, if somebody got a muzzle loader and I see it, I'm like, man, I'd like to take a crack with that thing. So, anyways, appreciate our sponsors.
Yeah.
You guys get out there, and we'd appreciate you patronizing them too. So, all right, John. So you're up. Let's hear what you got. Your number two, what you've learned here over the years of hunting.
I guess over the years, I've been a firm believer that the more time you spend in the field, the more time you spend scouting, the better opportunities or your luck that you'll create. A lot of guys, and I say it all the time, better to be lucky than good, but a lot of that luck comes from the time you spend in the field. I remember years ago reading a magazine, Miles Keller said if he had 10 days to hunt, he would scout 6 of them. And that really stuck in my brain because, down at the ranch, I'm fortunate that, every time I go down there, I'm on a hill. I'm always scouting. And that is what creates your success because, like Wayne said earlier, you can pattern. Deer are, they're smart, but they're not smarter than we are. And you can pattern them. You can figure things out. You can put the odds in your favor by spending more time in the field. So I guess over the years, the more time you can spend out there, and the more time you can spend scouting, the better chances you're going to have killing that animal you want to.
And I think maybe you and I have probably said this to each other before, but I almost enjoy scouting and watching deer anymore as much as I do hunting them for whatever reason. I love doing that. Yeah.
It is. And it's like the deer I killed, last year in the snow. I'd watched him for a couple years and put in a lot of time and effort. And I always say I kill like a $10,000 deer every year because all the time and gas.
That's
and
true.
Trail cameras and fruit plots and things like that that you put in.
Yeah.
When I did kill him, I was like, part of me dies. It's like, I'm never going to see that deer on trail camera again. And I look forward to it every time I pull a card. I'm looking for that deer, and now I don't see him. So it's kind of bittersweet. And I think as you get older, that's a lot of that stuff sets in. It's more of a cat and mouse game, and the game itself of doing everything from packing to scouting, all that stuff, practicing, all goes into, and that's like 90% of your hunt. The other part of it is just pulling the trigger.
Yeah. Yeah. You get that instant thrill there, and then, I'm actually getting to the point where I enjoy gutting the deer out even and doing all that kind of stuff, man. I had a lot of fun doing that this year. Well, Travis hurt his finger when he got his, and then at his job there, at his business he owns, and as long as I'll gut it out for you, no problem, man. I don't know. I take pride in getting a good gut on there, and I got it hung up in the shop. We got it back, and my dad's like, "Who gutted this?" I said, "Me." "Why?" "Man, you didn't even touch the loins on this." And I was like, "Yeah, that's right. Give myself a pat on the back for that one."
Yeah.
But yeah, it's what do you think of that, Wayne? I agree with that.
Yeah, I totally agree with John there too. I mean, I've recently made trips out to the areas we hunt in the Badlands. Just looking to see how the deer are doing, and this time of year. I mean, you're out there scouting, like John is probably doing the same thing. So you're knowing what's out there, what's survived the winter, and you're getting to experience other things with that.
Mhm.
So I'm out there and I'm seeing these pockets of muley bucks still have their antlers a
Yep.
couple weeks
Yep.
ago, and then I came across and I spotted these dozen elk all bedded together on this hillside. All of them had their antlers. I mean, if you're not out there scouting, you don't get to experience that other stuff too.
Yeah.
So that's really something that you got to take advantage of. And once you pull that trigger, it's like, okay, if I'm out there, and it's happened where opening weekends of bow season and opening weekends of gun season, you filled your tag,
Hmm.
and unless you make a genuine effort to go back out there, your season's done. And it's kind of like emptiness in your gut if you think about it,
I agree.
because you don't go back out there unless you have to. And then those cases where you're helping somebody else, then that makes it fun too again. But yeah,
Which
you're making your own success, really, is what you're doing.
that kind of leads into what my next one was. It's okay. It's okay to fill that tag on opening weekend, but I agree with you, and I've done that a couple times. And in fact, the biggest whitetail I ever got, I got him Saturday on opening weekend, and then I was just like, man, now what? My friends were still out and
Hmm.
had tags, but it knocks the wind out of you. But I mean, when you see a big one, a lot of people be like, nah, something bigger will come along. But like John was saying with his scouting, John, if you're scouting, yeah, there's a chance there's always something that shows up that you never seen, right? But if you're scouting and let's just say a 170-inch mule deer shows up and you're like, I've been scouting all summer and all fall, and there ain't nothing bigger than this guy out here. I'm gonna take this one. Yeah, maybe
Yeah, yeah,
somebody comes, a deer comes rolling through from somewhere that got pushed from way up north of our place or something. But that wouldn't bother me one bit. And if I shoot a nice one opening weekend and fill my tag, I'm not. Because everybody else
right,
said, "Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it opening weekend." That doesn't bother me, other than the fact, Wayne,
yeah,
that yeah, I can't kill. My killing's over, but
right,
doesn't bother
yeah.
me.
But bringing up during the break, my wife popped her head in here and she said, "Yeah, you could have brought up a better example than I used. That she goofed me up on some deer. Actually, she um, we were out elk hunting when she had her elk tag, and a prime example of shooting a deer early. That's early in September, and we were glassing for elk in these drainages, and I started watching this one muley buck that came out. I'm watching him and watching him, and Judy's watching him. She goes, he's really nice. You should go after him. I said, we'll look for your elk. She goes, no, you go after him. Don't worry about my elk. So then I went down, I pulled a sneak, got within 30 yards, and shot this nice 4x4 velvet buck. But so my season was over
Hmm.
right there. But of course I had other things to do with her elk tag, so that was good. But yeah, so two birds with one stone there. Yeah, I shot my my deer early, and she helped me get that. She coaxed me into doing that, so I got to give her kudos for that. But yeah, your season's done when you do fill
Yep,
that tag. That's for
yep,
sure.
yeah. The first one I ever got. In fact, John, you guys had like a giveaway there. The first deer I ever got, he's mounted, whitetail buck in velvet. Second day of the season. I mean, that whole summer, checking cameras every weekend. That's when my oldest daughter was. She was man, I think 3 or 4. She come up with me all the time. We were putting corn down. Oh my God, you're a cheater, JD. No, I'm not. Corn and apples and sure enough, second day, distinctly remember getting up at like 3 in the morning and thinking this bow hunting sucks because I should still be sleeping. But went out there
Mhm.
and sure enough, I got him. And never did put tape to him, but he's probably between 135 and 140. Awesome buck. Now that I've bow hunted I probably would have let him go reluctantly, but yeah, and then I remember getting them all done, and I was just thinking, all that preparation, and I'm done on the second day. I was so happy when I got them. My heart was pumping
Yep.
super hard. I mean, one of the biggest cases of buck fever I ever had, but I did settle myself down and got a nice shot. But yeah, and then it was all over, and I didn't have a rifle tag, not even a doe, and I was just like, wow, now what am I going to do till till November when rifle opens and my buddies have. But yeah, totally satisfied with it either way. I look at that deer every day and memories pop in my head about it. So it was awesome.
Yep, that's awesome.
All right. So I'll
Yeah.
tell you what, if you got John, you got any more, Wayne? Because I want to talk a little gear with you guys. Here's some hunting gear, if you don't mind.
I got questions. I got questions for Wayne.
Hit
because
it, John.
He's a spot and stock guru. Because I did a little of that this year.
Yeah.
Tell me how you practice for spot and stock. Because I went out and I ended up shooting a mule deer right in the butt. I'm not very happy with it. I don't know what happened. My arrow, when it came out, it looked terrible. And it wasn't breezy. I don't know what happened. When I saw my arrow flying, I'm like, something happened, because I'm not the world's greatest shot, but I'm not a bad shot. And and I don't know if it was my adrenaline or whatever, but when one of the things that I find is that when I'm whitetail hunting in a ground blind or in a tree stand, I have time, and it's like I'm drawing back, I'm aiming, getting my pin where it needs to, I stop them, and then I can squeeze the trigger. And when you mule deer hunt, how are you doing it? Are you still, because I'll practice sometimes, like I'm sneaking around a tree and I draw, and it seems like I just get in a hurry. Do you still take all the time that you always do to shoot? And if a deer moves, he moves. Because I feel that I rush myself and then I punch my trigger.
Yeah. That's usually what happens. I mean, if you get a bedded deer, I shot a buck in the snow in South Dakota, and if their deer are bedded in a situation where you could come over the top on them, what I will do is, if you get a chance to see where they're at, you peek up over the top and you look down at them, and they're 25 yards or 35 yards or whatever they are, and you range them, or the yardage. Then I back off and I get everything set like I would. And you're going to draw your bow, and I will draw my bow, and I'll look through my peep, and I'll get my 30-yard pin or whatever it is on that. It's already set. As I come over the top, then I will settle on that, and you get that pin on, so that you're not coming over the top and drawing on the animal. You're drawing and coming over the top. Then that's a prime scenario if you can do it. Many times I've been crawling through the grasses, and you get in the grasses, and you're getting close. I shot a buck way down south. There's 4 bucks all feeding on this hillside. And one of my things that I have always said to people is, don't wait for your buck to bed before making your stock, because these bucks may be thought that you can't get at them. So if you can have a scenario where you can get on their feeding lanes or something and get in front, well, that's what I did with these. They're 4 bucks together. You're crawling up in the grass, you're getting everything set there. Again, you may peek up and range a little bit, and see if you can get a range. And if you can't get a range, be able to judge distances without a rangefinder is really critical as well. But
Agreed.
and then going back down and drawing your bow really low, getting things set just like that, and raising up and trying to do that. And for the most often, you could probably get it done, especially if you watch the animals and make sure that they're facing away, or content doing something like feeding. I shot an antelope at 40 yards when I snuck into him, and I did the same thing. And he didn't know that I was there until I came up with my bow, and my pin was already on him, and he looked up at me, and it frontal shot, and I hit him about an inch too high, hit him right in the spine, and it dropped him right there. But it was like, drawing before you're, exposing yourself is really the key if you can get it done. So, and not always, it doesn't, you don't always have that opportunity.
Yeah, and what I learned, it's not what I learned in my short time mule deer hunting. It's not hard getting within distance to shoot them. It's really hard getting the shot.
Yeah, it is.
They all, and I was hunting them in October, so they weren't bedding out in the open, and they were bedding in the brush. And so when they would stand up, there would be vitals covered, everything covered.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot. I had fun. I really enjoyed it. I'm hoping to get after it again. And I honestly could care less if I shoot a 130-inch mule deer or a spike. I don't care. It was enjoyable, and it's something that I haven't done. Or I just, like I said, just get out there and have fun doing it.
That's a good analogy, John, because I've actually found that I enjoy spot and stock mule deer. I don't have a whole lot of patience, and that's probably why I don't well, we got some whitetails coming back this year. I might learn patience, but but yeah, those suckers. It is hard. You can, like you said, you can get close, but getting a good shot on them. Then the one I got on the spot and stock, he wasn't the one I was initially trying to get, but then this other guy stood up, and I was like, yeah, you're gonna get it, buddy. And but yeah, before that, I was doing it for, man, I took like 5 days off and went, and I don't know how many stocks I couldn't get a shot on the suckers. Like you said, they were in the buffalo berries or something.
Yeah,
I could see the huge antlers, and I'm like, would you please stand up and give me a, what do they always say? Present me a shot. You know?
Yeah, and what I found is that because you're doing, it's kind of like hunting antelope with a rifle. You get to do it all day long. And bow hunting, most of the time you're just doing it in the morning or in the evening, and then you kill time. And it's nice to be able to go after them all day and get out and stretch your legs. And
agree.
I learned a lot, and like I said, it was definitely something different. It was different controlling my adrenaline when I was spotting and stalking versus when I'm sitting in a blind.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the guys here, we
And you always have
got chats here. Hang on, Wayne. I'll let you up here in 1 second, buddy. Brianna said they're doing good. Good. Appreciate that, Brianna. Guns in the 701 down there in Florida said lots of hogs dropped this week. Successful year and tons of fun. which
Yeah.
it is. Gene Cox, it takes a lot of practice. It takes lots of practice and behind the scenes work to become extremely lucky. That's true, Gene. That is true. That is true. Yeah. My brother-in-law said that when I got my buck. He's like, I've been bow hunting for how many years, and I ain't got. He goes out on his first weekend and gets it, and I'm like, yeah, I was up here every freaking weekend preparing for this crap, and there was definitely some luck involved. So, I mean, yeah, you can make your own luck a little bit, like Gene's kind of saying there.
Right. And John, I think you could attest to this too. You always have to be ready, whether you're spot and stock, whether you're sitting in a tree stand. You always have to be ready because you don't know when something's going to happen. A deer shows up out of your corner of your eye in the tree stand, or all of a sudden you're crawling up on something and a buck you notice is 20 yards away. But I have a question for you, John. When you, and you too, Jamie, when you guys are out looking at mule deer, have you found that bachelor bucks are commonly and very commonly found in numbers of 4?
Yeah, I have actually. Now that you say that,
when we look at this, I tell you, if you really start thinking about it, if I see a bunch of deer, some group of deer like a mile away, and you're like, hey, there's 4 white butts over there, I would bet 90% of the time, 80% of the time, that those are 4 bucks together, because it seems like bucks run in numbers of 4 for some reason.
yeah.
And I don't know why, but that's kind of the cherry number that I've found. So when I'm seeing groups of 4 someplace and they're at a distance, I kind of will make an attempt to see closer what they are, because it's usually bucks in those bunches. And I don't know what other people think, but that's just something I found too. But
yeah, like I said, I have. I don't know about you, John. What do you see on that?
I haven't paid that close of attention. I know this last weekend I saw 7 bucks together, and they all had their antlers.
Yeah.
With one, and it could have been a small spike or one doe, but again, late season and stuff like that. And I'd have to look back in video because I had a couple late season hunts with a young man that's helping me film, and it was pretty exciting for a kid I think he's killed a doe with his bow. But we sat in some soybean fields, and it was December, but it just wasn't, we weren't cold. We just needed that cold weather. But we had probably 50 deer, which I was surprised. We had probably half mule deer, and there's 3 or 4 bucks that were in the field, and a couple pretty nice. I mean, when I say pretty nice, they were cull bucks. They were one that just was straight up in the air that's not going to mount another one with no, he had crab claws. Deer that I would let, no matter what age this kid shoot, just because they're not up and comers. And I don't. I'd have to look back and see if there was 4 or more. And then the cool thing was we had a group of elk. We have elk on our place this year, and they've stayed all year, which is really exciting to see. But it's absolutely terrible on the pocketbook as far as trail cameras. Anything you put out, they wreck. They don't eat your food plots. They roll in them. They wreck them. But it was cool for this young man to see these elk. And like I said, the last time I just went down there a week ago, I saw 20 of them again. So
dang.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
and the odds of getting I already had my once in a lifetime tag, but
Mhm.
it's crazy how the internet works. I put the post out there and some kid's like, well, why don't you let somebody hunt them? And I just want to reach through and grab them because it's like, I
Mhm.
never said no. I would let anybody hunt an elk on our place. I'd take them right to them, you know?
Yeah.
But it's
Mhm.
just not a consistent thing. But if, like I said, if I have them next year and someone draws a tag, they're nothing that are giants, but they are an elk. And I counted
Yeah.
9 bullets.
Well, too, and it ain't like they're going that they ain't got to go 500 miles to hunt elk if they get when they go to your place. Hey,
Yeah, I
that's
mean, and like I said, when we talked about everything, it's like creating your own luck, all that stuff. Anybody that comes with me, when people get lucky, I don't get mad. I see some guys that will kill their biggest deer and they have lucky. It's great. I'm one of those guys that when I take a youth hunter or a first time hunter, I do put stipulations. I'm one of those guys, and I'm old school. If the 170-inch deer runs in front of him, I'm probably not going to let him shoot it because it's the deer that I've been trying
Mhm.
to kill, and I would rather have
Right.
them work at something. And I've never had a youth
Mhm.
hunter ever complain when I tell them, this is what we're going to shoot. The mule deer are fun for the kids to go after because they all look big, and most of the mule deer in my
Mhm.
area, unlike probably for you, are mutants. I mean, we got so many crab claws. They'll be great on one side,
Yeah.
nothing on the other, but they're big frame deer.
We got a bunch of them too.
And
Yeah.
again, to have those kids, I want them to have the whole experience. I want them to come scout. I want them to have to clean the animal. I want them to have to cut it up. I want them to have a dinner at the cabin with the
Mhm.
guys while they're drinking a beer. I want that whole thing because I've seen too many kids that go out with their families. And anybody that's listening, if you have a kid and they come hunting at my place and they pull their phone out at the end of the night and they stick their head in it, I'm going to come unglued because you can check your phone, but please, it's like I want them to enjoy that experience. And it's like
Yeah,
so
don't
many,
just sit on it until somebody goes, "Hey, here
yeah,
comes a deer," and then put it down. And
right.
yeah,
There's so many kids that
Mhm.
will give their kid a phone or a tablet and say, just sit here and look at that. And I'm like, you're missing everything that's going on. And I think we in our society we've created where we feel that if we don't, and I hear people say it all the time, well, my kid, if I don't show him deer, and I hear that excuse about baiting, and I know nothing against baiting. You're gonna get a better shot. But again,
yep,
kids
Mhm.
also have to understand that every time dad goes out, I don't a lot of times don't see anything. A lot of times I don't get a shot, and I feel like
Right.
we give everything to kids so fast nowadays. And I'm a
oh
parent,
yeah,
and I was like, my daughter shot her a spike, then she shot a fork, and then a 60, and then a 90-inch, and then she said, "Could I wait for a Pope and Young?" And I said, "Sure." I said, "Just understand, you're going to wait." And I don't think she shot a deer for a couple years. So with everything I want, whether it's a first time hunter, young or old, I just want them to have that whole experience. And I feel bad sometimes when I'll stop a guy on the road and they're driving around. I go, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Well, I'm just looking for a deer for my daughter to shoot." I'm like, "Well, where are you hunting?" "Well, we're just driving." And I'm like, to me, that's just, I feel
Yeah.
sad. And that's when I say, "Come on, if you don't mind shooting a doe, I'll take you where to sit and have you shoot them." But again, I want them to have that experience because I think that experience hooks the kid. That's where I differ with the
Mhm.
game and fish about giving a buck tag out. I don't think you need to give a kid
Yeah.
a buck
Yeah.
tag to get
right.
him. I think you need to give him the experience, and that's what it's about. Because I think the experience is going to be more enjoyable, and you're going to get hooked on hunting more if you do everything to enjoy it, and just going out and shooting your first big buck, and that's the last buck you shoot.
Yep. I agree, John. I don't agree with the buck tags on the youth seasons. If they have not, the buck tags can be during the regular general season for
I,
that, and if they can work with the others and do that. I truly believe that. I've always believed that. Yes, we took advantage of it with our kids. I mean, we are going to. I mean, we're
I,
not stupid, but um,
I think
but my boys are out there working at
Yeah,
it.
I think especially with the numbers and people argue with me and they say I'm selfish, and I am selfish. You know what? I work hard and I want to hunt and I want to
Yeah,
have an opportunity, but I take a lot of youth hunters. I mean, again, I get hammered sometimes on Facebook, and I'll call guys out on it and tell them what do you know about me? How many people have I taken? How many veterans? How many kids have I taken on their first turkey hunt?
yep.
That kind of thing because I spend a lot of time doing it, and I think that we could have a youth tag. So if when you turn 14, you will automatically get a buck tag, but it's only a buck tag during the regular season. If you want to use it beforehand, you can use it for a doe. And no one can say, well,
Mhm.
the Game and Fish doesn't look at a lot of that stuff with youth because they don't know how many youth people are going to put in for youth. So it's kind of just that number that's a ballpark figure. But what would be wrong? So what if it's cold out? I can
Yeah.
remember it was 0 degrees out, and I guarantee you, I didn't have Sitka gear, first light. I had blue jeans on and a flannel shirt with white long johns on and some leather boots on, and we were able to do it. So I sometimes think that we feel that kids aren't as tough as they really are and resilient. And I think we could do some of these changes and make things better for them. I kind of go back to old school.
I still got the white long johns, to be honest with you.
Nothing wrong with that, man. Nothing wrong with that.
They work great too.
I went to the colored ones after I got so old, and I do a lot of
Oh, yeah, yep, yeah. That's and then the red flannel, right? The red and the black.
I had those when I was a kid with the drop away drawers.
My dad still has that.
The union suit. The union suit.
Proud as a peacock watching like the Sackets and stuff when I saw those guys wearing them back in the day.
Oh, sure. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, so what do you use for a bow then, John? What's your bow? I seen you had the Hoyt cap hat on, but
yep. This year I went back to the Carbon R. It's the RX8, and again I keep saying it. I don't know how they improve bows, but this bow to me is the quietest bow Hoyt has ever made, and which I'm a firm believer in quiet. It doesn't make a difference if you shoot 300 feet per second. If it's not quiet, that's what gives you away. And nowadays these bows are all, I give Wayne a bad time about shooting a Matthews, and it's fun, and people will get mad at me sometimes. I make fun of guys with long bows. I said, yeah, I can hear all the long bow shooters. They go, what do you mean? I said, I can hear the arrows bouncing off the wall. And they get mad at me. Like, you know what? This is all fun. We all do the same thing.
Yeah, you got to do a little ribbon.
Right. You got to do a little bit of ribbon. So we give each other a bad time, and we have contests at the kids' shoots, and when we do these camps. And I said, if I can't do this, I'll wear a Matthews hat. And I lost, and I had to wear a Matthews hat during the day. And I just said no pictures were allowed. I'm shooting my Hoyt, and I really like it. I got the new one, and like I said, I switched to a thumb release.
What's that mean? I don't know what a thumb release is.
When the old trigger is where when you draw back and you pull your trigger.
That I know. Yep.
And I went through, which was funny because I've never ever had it. I've been bow hunting since I was 26 years old, shooting a bow since I was a kid, and I'd seen guys talk about target panic, and I had no idea what it was, but it was the most miserable thing that you could ever go through. Mentally, your brain shuts down. I heard about the gymnastic kids, these like Olympic stars. Well, they'll start doing a flip in the air and their brain shuts off, and they don't know what to do, and they almost kill themselves because they forget what they're doing. And it's the same thing with target panic. You forget what you're doing, and I was jerking and squeezing and missing the trigger. I mean, I missed a target. I've never done it on an animal that I know of, but when I was shooting at 20 yards, I'd miss a whole 3D target. And it was so bad that I didn't even want to shoot my bow. I hated it. And then I took a course from what's his name, Joel Turner, for $200, and it's pretty simple when you think about shooting. And he taught me a few things, and then I decided to try a thumb release, and it's easier for me to use a little bit because they say when you shoot, whether it's your finger, and Zach Camera is awesome to talk to up at Shields. You're supposed to hook that finger, and then you're supposed to use your back tension, kind of pull through it. And it seemed like it was easier for me to get that.
So he's saying pull through with your elbow to pull the trigger instead of just your finger?
Yeah, your shoulders. Because if you take a release, give me 2 seconds here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Jamie, it's a back tension where you're tightening up your back and you're letting your back kind of flex, or then your thumb is pulling on that, and that's kind of the trick behind it.
The way this works is, and this isn't, they make back tension releases, they make hinge releases that are crazy, but this one, it's thumb operated. So if I pull on
I heard it break right there. Yeah,
you can hear it.
Yep.
So, but it's pretty amazing when you put your thumb around like that, and you don't have to pull hardly at all, and it breaks. So that's what you're doing is you got your string in there, and so you're here, and when your thumb is around there, if you just pull back a little bit, it breaks because they say it needs to be a surprise, which always bothered me because I don't like my gun going off on a surprise.
I agree with. Yeah.
But once you start doing it, it seems like it's the best of both worlds. I know my thumb's on there. I'm squeezing my thumb a little bit. I'm pulling back, and it just seems like you get a cleaner shot. And
Yep.
I know that my shooting has increased. And I'm not a guy to shoot past, like I said, 50 yards is really my maximum.
Mhm.
But when I shoot at 40
Yeah.
yards, my groups tighten up. I mean, I was going from groups at 40 like this down to this. I've always shot good at 20 and 30. And
Mhm.
now when I'm shooting at 30, I can't shoot at the same spot because I'm going to start thinking arrows. So it's just
So what's like the trigger, like a good finger release on a bow is like what, probably like 3 pounds, 2 pounds?
boy,
I would think 3, 4 pounds,
Kind of
I
like
would
a good
think, maybe a
rifle
little
trigger,
more
right?
even.
you
Probably.
can you can lighten them up. I have a release that I
Mhm.
bought from Knock On, and it's a trigger release. But the way it's set is you set the tension on it and you draw it back and you squeeze your trigger and it won't go off. But what you're doing is you're kind of setting the trigger.
Like a two-stage rifle
Yeah,
trigger
and then
almost.
you have to pull through it. Well, you can do it where you set it too much, and when I draw back and hit my wall, and I'd kind of pull against my walls, and poof,
Yeah.
and that
Hmm.
was too much. But it does teach you to pull through, and all the Olympic archers, everybody that's shooting and is a really good shot, Levi Morgan, all those guys. That's how they shoot. They're pulling through their shots. And again, I have always said I punch my way through to a lot of animals, apparently. But
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the pressure? What pressure do you need to release the thumb one then?
it's probably about the same. And
About the
again,
same? Okay.
you can lighten it up. And I've
Yeah.
just been shooting it the same way, and I just have felt it's taken me a while to get comfortable with it. And again, I got to practice some more things because that's the one thing when I went on that spot and stock mule deer hunt, I had never shot down a cliff
Mhm.
with this. And it's a different anchoring point than where I anchor on the other one. And that could have been it. It could have been my own fault for not getting up in a tree and practicing aiming straight down because, again, mule deer hunting and it was up and down. And it wasn't like shooting a whitetail out of the blind. So that partly
Right.
was my own fault for not being prepared.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what do you shoot for a bow then, Wayne?
I shoot a little older Matthews that I've got. It's a DRX or a DXT, and it's it fits me so well that I just haven't got myself to change. I mean,
Mhm.
I shoot I shoot 435 grain arrows and I get 275 feet per second. So I'm right at that 70 foot pounds of energy. So I can kill anything with that. And it's super quiet, like John
Mhm.
said. I think bow it's critical for your bow to be quiet because they're even at 300 feet per second. That's slow when it comes to an animal moving. They can still move and jump
Oh,
an
yeah,
arrow
duck
at a
the string or
certain
whatever. Yeah,
distance and
jump it.
such.
Yep.
But yeah, that's what I shoot, and I've kind of always shot fixed blade broadheads. I'll shoot mechanicals for turkeys. I tried some mechanicals this year that I was gonna test out on doing some mule deer hunting, and I'll probably do that again this fall and see how that works and do that aspect of it. Um, yeah, and like John said, shooting from a tree stand compared to a blind, compared to spot and stock, and it just takes some little bit of experience with it. I put it in my head that I got to bend it in my waist
Yep.
when I'm shooting downhill or uphill because that doesn't change your anchor point as much. And I still use a trigger release for me. For me to spot and stock, I don't know. I think I would
I lost
probably
mine,
fumble
Wayne.
over a
We had to go
bump.
back looking for it.
Did you?
I
Yeah, I
even
it's
had I
like,
took my jacket
man,
off and it came off with my jacket. And that was the biggest fear about this, not being strapped on there. And sure as shit, I was going back about a half a mile trying to find it. Thank goodness it was right where we
yeah,
parked the truck.
You need to invent something for
yeah,
that, John.
Yeah.
yeah. And we used to shoot when I first started shooting. We shot fingers and pins.
Yep.
I mean
Oh
that's
yeah.
what we shot. And I've killed antelope and deer and mule deer with recurves and all that. And now at the releases, I started hunting with a release down to our river bottoms. And the one night walking out, I dropped my release. I got in my tree stand the next morning and I had no release. And sure enough, this nice buck comes down, red blood-stained rack. Nice buck came down 30 yards, and I pulled up with my fingers and totally missed
Yep,
him.
it
It's like,
doesn't
shit,
work.
that shit doesn't
It
work,
doesn't,
man.
because I tried it one time too, and I mean, I missed.
Yeah,
I wasn't shooting at an animal, but I was like, I'm gonna go back to fingers.
yeah,
Even going, like I said, from this release to my other release, it's just a little bit different anchoring point, and it's like,
yeah,
that's why I tell people it's hard to shoot somebody's bow. You got to be about the same.
yeah.
My brother and I could shoot them because we're the same size and everything. But like I said, it's not like picking up a
Mhm.
rifle where I could pick up Jamie's rifle or pick up your rifle,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
even a left-handed rifle, and I'm going to kill that animal. Well, with a bow, it doesn't work.
Sure.
Well, I mean, bows are
No, it
so
doesn't.
they got it dialed in, so customized to people nowadays too, don't they? I mean, I mean, it's a big deal. You go to, like you say, you go down to Shields, man. They got the thing in there, and them guys measure you for everything. And
Yep.
you know, I shoot crossbows, so I suck compared to you guys. But back when I did shoot, target shot a lot with bows. In fact, before I had a crossbow, take my brother-in-law. He's a big Matthews guy. But I was shocked. All I ever shot in my life was, like you say, the recurve with the finger, and then he come out. My wife and I met, and he had the trigger release and the pins and the little hair things hanging from the string. I didn't know what the heck. Yeah, it's to make it quiet. And then I shot that thing. I was like, holy shit! I can't believe how accurate I am with this thing.
Yeah, it's like I said,
They're fun. I mean, I got nothing. It's awesome. I think it's awesome.
It's all changed. It's all, like I said, and that's what the thing is. It's enjoyable. I always tell people, I said, there's nothing. I was shooting earlier today, and there's nothing that is more enjoyable than watching your arrow fly through the air in slow motion. And it seems like when everything breaks and you shoot the way you're supposed to, it just, the magical, mystical flight of the arrow, as Ted Nugent would say, is something pretty cool to see.
So I had the Luminox, and I actually love watching that Luminox fly through the air. The 2 deer that I got, I was like, that is freaking awesome.
I'm gonna step away. You talking about?
Yeah, yep, go for it. You do that, John. I'm gonna hit a couple comments here until you get back here. So Gene said the bucks and 4 comment made me think of the armadillo. I think the female armadillo has quadruple offspring. Maybe a correlation, but maybe not. Yeah, Brian says that's why it's called hunting. Shooting happens at the range on the bench. That's right, Brian. I said that same thing many times. Josh Patterson said, my boy loves to sit on a hill and glass. He also loves to walk and look for deer. Me too. He shot a spike with his rifle youth tag during a regular season this past year. Then he got lucky enough to take an 8-point with his bow, which was his first archery deer. He enjoys being outdoors and enjoys hunting. That's awesome, man. And he said right here, his boy switched to a thumb release. He loves it. Likes it way more than a wrist release. All right.
Yeah. So, and here's how far we've came with hunting, at least for me anyway. When I first started bow hunting, we still had Kmart in Bismarck, and so I went to Kmart to buy, because we had no sporting goods stores. So I went to Kmart to buy my first bow, and they had the bear whitetail. It had the 4
got one.
4 cables. Yeah, I got it. So here I buy this bow and I bring it home and I'm getting it set up, and I pick it up out of the box, and it's left-handed.
Oh, no.
What the hell? I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So I took it back and got a right-handed bow, got it set up. And that year, I believe I killed a 5-point whitetail buck, which is the luckiest thing ever I have done. I have no idea how I did it, but
perfect.
Yeah, that was started with a whitetail hunter, like a lot of guys do.
Now you got a mule deer hunter.
Yeah, that was my first bow I got from Sioux Sporting Goods. I didn't know how much I'd enjoy, bow hunting, so I bought that, and that was when I was 26 years old. Had 2 pins because it's as far as I could shoot was 40 yards. My target was a tied detergent box full of sand. I was shooting thunderheads, and my first deer I shot ended up being like 132-inch Pope and Young. And I was walking out to my tree stand, and I stepped in a hole, and I twisted my ankle, and I couldn't go any further. So I sat down by a fence post, and he came by me at 40 yards, and I mean,
I
had no right to be shooting at him. And I smoked him, and Greg Luptek came out and helped me find him the next day. And I was hooked on bow hunting then.
Yeah,
So if
got hooked.
somebody
Yeah.
listen doesn't know where Sioux Sporting Goods is, it's just to the south of what is the Bismarck City County building there. It's a parking lot now.
Well, you know where Kohler's jewelry store is?
Yeah, Cochler's, yeah, right.
Kohler's it is?
Yep.
Kohler's? It was right next
Right.
door to there, right to the
And
west,
that,
yeah.
back
bet.
then when I was a kid, there was Shields was a hardware store or an Arrowhead,
Yeah.
and that didn't come till
Arrowhead
later.
Plaza.
Yeah.
And then,
Mhm.
we would go to Sioux Sporting Goods, and I can remember the guys that worked there, big Vince worked.
Yeah.
Vince ended up working at Shields later in his career, but he
Doing a
worked
golf thing there, yeah.
Yep, he did all that. And that was, like I said, I would go there every day and hang out in the, the hunting section, but it was always fun. But you were talking, Jamie, talking about lighted knocks. Have you seen these?
No.
These are halos.
Okay.
They used to be, they're double take archery, and they were glory knock, but glory knock was not a good knock. It just didn't work. But they came out with this one, and I've tried them all. I've tried Illuminox. I've been shooting the Faraday ones. What are those? Are
I'm not gonna lie to you. The only ones I really know of are Luminox.
yeah, and then there's
I'm willing to switch though.
well, there's I've tried every one of them, and I've the latest packs of.
I like the green ones. I can see them better.
Yep, and the nocturnals. So I've shot nocturnals for the last 5 years. Had good luck with them, but it seems like the quality. I'll buy 2 packs and only half of them work. But the cool thing about this one, so it goes off. It's a plunger. So watch this. I'll stick it on my ring, and it goes off. Okay. So now, if I want to, instead of having one of those,
bring it up higher. I can't see what you're doing. A little higher. There you go. Okay.
Goofy little tools. I just put there's a little button on there.
Okay. Bring it up higher.
Lift it up there.
Whoops, right there.
There you go. Right there.
There's a little button in there, so that goes off. I can do it this way. So when it goes off, now if you want to shut it off, all you gotta do is touch that little button and kind of push in.
Yeah.
It goes off. No tool. And I've been shooting these for now like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I had one break, but I don't know if I hit it or what happened, or if it was the one that was really tight going in one of my arrows was tight, and I used a knock tool and I turned on it. So I don't know if that screwed up the integrity, but I just like that there's and they're not a sponsor of mine or anything like that. I'm just one of those guys. If I find something good, I like to share it.
And what brand is that again?
It's called Halo Knock.
Halo.
And the nice thing, Wayne, you'll appreciate this, is that I took it down to camera and I forgot I had it on my arrow. And I'm not a bow guru. I know how to shoot it and I can tune it a little bit, but I take it to camera. He got it all set up and I said, just tune it with my arrow I have in there. And he sent me a text and he goes, "What knock is that?" He goes, "I just tuned your bow with that knock on." And he goes, "It's got the same," he goes, it's so close to an X knock. Because that's one of the problems with a lot of these knocks is that they're bigger, heavier. Right. This one's a little heavier, but the specs, like going on your string and stuff, Cameron said it was the best one that he's ever had going on his string and off of his string. So if I can impress Cameron, I was, and then sure enough, like 2 weeks later, they're on their shelf in there, and they put them on their program. I talked to Scott Winkles before he retired, and he said that they put them on their program and probably going to be their number one knock now, just because they've been shooting them for a couple years and they really like them. And I talked to the guy that makes them just out of curiosity, wanted to know, some of the stuff about them. And because I remember the name Double Take, and he said it was Glory Knock, but they did a bad job, with that knock. They redid everything, and he's even redoing it because he said, I just want it to be perfect. Because he said he's had a couple failures and he doesn't like to have even a couple. Sure. But I just like the simplicity of it. And like I said, shooting knocks. Lighted knocks, I buy enough so that I can shoot them on all my practice arrows.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Yeah.
I'm old, I like to see my arrow fly.
Well, I like how easy you turned it off because I think it's the Luminox. I got that hole in the side, and you got to stick your knife in there and pop that sucker back.
Yep, that's the nocturnal ones that I just showed you. These and like I said, they're good knocks, but they're just bigger. I don't know if I think they weigh a little bit more, but again. They're all good to shoot, but they're all about the same price. It's just, like I said, I like to try something new, and I do like the idea. This one's a multi-fit, so they make a micro diameter that goes in some of the small, I think the 4 millimeters. This one's got the sleeves that will go into, most of the .204s, the .233s, the 244s, 246. So it's an X knock, H knock, S knock, and a GT knock. So they cover the kind of the gamut without having to buy a bunch of different knocks.
And so they're about the same weight as the other knock or so that you're not
I,
changing your front of center and such on that.
I wanted to say that they're all going to be heavier because they got the battery in them stuff, but I don't think they were, from what Cameron was saying, just these specs on them were way closer to like an X knock, because that's what I shoot is an X knock, and these just automatically go into the X knock shaft, which there's on this one, there's no insert or anything like that.
Good. Yeah.
But like I said, I like bow hunters, we try everything. It's like, if it says it's going to do this, I believe it, and I'm going to buy it. I say, I'll buy anything once,
Right. You gotta try it. Well, I mean, that sounds like, do they make them for crossbows too, or am I left out in the dark there with these guys?
No, super lightweight.
I would think so.
Required. I thought they did. I thought it was like they were made where you can use them on crossbows. I'll double check for you.
Yeah. So we're gonna have to have you guys back on later this year, John, because I remember when Clay and I had you on talking bow hunting numbers of crossbows. I did see a few articles where they are up in the harvest big time with the crossbows.
Yeah, I think that when we talked about it before, I'm not even so worried about the harvest. It is, but the number of guys and what they've seen, like in Kansas and places like that, is that once they make crossbows, it just adds more hunters. And if we add more hunters, then you got less chances to draw.
Yeah, you know what my feeling was, but after I read a few things, it actually kind of turned me back to away from the way I was thinking.
Yeah,
back towards the more.
It's one of those deals that I have nothing against. I think that one of the biggest tragedies is Scott. Scott Lang is 75 years old, 76 years old. He's bow hunted his whole life. They would not give him a crossbow permit.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
The doctor gave it to him, but the Game and Fish turned him down and said, well, there's nothing wrong with your shoulders. He's like, I'm 75 years old. I can barely pull my bow back. I can't walk anymore. I gotta drive around on a scooter. They go, well, that doesn't qualify. And I would like to see a law change that if you're 75 years old, you should be grandfathered into a crossbow. It's not like a guy that's 75 years old who has never used a crossbow is going to go buy one and buy a tag. And I just feel bad for some of these guys. And it's no different. If you got I've got bad shoulders, but I've been able to keep my shoulders in good enough shape that I can still draw a bow. But for someone that can't draw a bow back, Jason did it that one year. He had such bad arthritis in his arms and stuff like that. When he went to Wyoming, you can use one legally. Yeah. And I don't think it was any less fun for him to shoot it with his crossbow. He got to hunt. So I see both sides of it.
Yeah. Do you guys feel that once you get to a crossbow level, the success rate of a crossbow is going to make a difference in how many tags are going to be put out for archery tags? Because right now it's just across the board. Anybody can get them. And, as a management tool, will the Game and Fish Department say, you know what, your success rate's too high. We got to cut you back on tags, or we got to make a separate season for it, or whatever. What do you foresee going down the road?
Go ahead, John.
I think that we got some changes coming down the road. I mean, we have been devastated by EHD. And I'm going to clarify that EHD, not CWD. EHD has devastated some of the populations along the river.
Way worse than CWD.
Yeah. Well, CWD, again, I'm not a biologist, but none of us have found a dead deer. There's no dead deer. It's not changing the landscape. No matter what they want to say, no matter how much they want to say, it's not changing anything on our landscape. And nor has, I don't feel, again, I'll get ripped for this, but Colorado's had it for 60 years. It's not changing Colorado's,
Nope.
Wisconsin, it's got the highest deer population they've ever had, ever. And they tried to wipe out their population of deer by sharpshooters, 10 years ago, shooting I don't know how many tens of thousands of deer, and they still got CWD at a high prevalence. But the whitetail, just because they have a baby doesn't mean it has CWD. They're not dying with it in 2 years. So again, I'm not a
Hmm.
biologist, but I don't think that's that big a deal. But again, we had 40,000 deer die by starvation in North Dakota.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
absolute sin, because that is something we can prevent, and the
Yep.
game fish can help with that. I'm not talking about them going and dumping corn, but we could be paying ranchers and farmers. The deer always winter in the same areas every year.
Yeah.
I can
Hmm.
almost guarantee
Oh,
you.
for sure. For
So
sure.
go to
Hmm.
those ranchers and farmers, and you may have to pay $100,000, but you're going to pay $100,000 to keep 20,000 deer alive, and then the next year, if they don't have the deer problem, the farmer could go in there in the spring and maybe combat it, and pay some of it back or do whatever. But I think there's programs we could do to help our population. But right now, with our deer population the way it is, I think, Wayne, that we definitely need to make some changes in the Badlands for the mule deer. I think there's too many people
Yeah.
coming from
Yeah.
east. I think there's too many people coming. I'm not going to blame it on out of staters, because we don't have that many out of
Mhm.
staters, even though guys want to blame it on them. But if we
Hmm.
lost 40,000 deer out east,
That's fun to bitch about them guys
right?
coming in here, but
Yeah, the majority of the deer died east, I would say,
Yeah.
just because of cover. At our ranch, we didn't lose that many because we had hills and coulees and all that stuff.
I
So
mean, that
those
makes a
people,
difference for
yeah,
sure.
those people are
Yeah.
going to come west. So I think there's going to have to be a change there. And I think,
Yeah.
Wayne, that the biggest fear for you and I and all of us is that one tag system.
Yeah, it is. It is. And we have to realize if we lose
We'll get it back.
the two tag system, you will never get it
Yeah,
back. We have to be very, very adamant about keeping our two tag
yeah,
system. Whether guys don't want to bow hunt or they do. I mean, let's keep that two tag and let's make it that option for
right.
people. And being on this committee from the Game and Fish Department, we have our next meeting coming up this next month, and I'm still going through this survey and nitpicking it and bringing up my comments of which direction I think we should go, and bringing up suggestions. And there's the Badlands, and there's just the whole bow hunting in general. It's the hunting pressure in general in certain
Oh
areas,
yeah.
and I just think that there has to be so much more landowner, hunter, game and fish department relationships
Huge.
built, so much more than they have right now, and they got to continue to build it, because to get where we need to be, we need the landowners, we need hunters working
Yeah.
together.
I honestly feel right now, this is just a personal, and you can both chime in on this. I think the relationship between the landowners and the game and fish, and just in general, the whole attitude towards the game and fish right now is probably at its lowest it's ever been.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. It is. I mean, everybody I know barks about them.
And again, I'm here to say that I know their job is extremely difficult.
Right.
I'm not
Yeah.
bashing them, but I think that there's things that we could do better. And I always tell people, I said, I feel that they work for me. I think they work for you. They work for all of us. So if I have a question or a concern, I should be able to bring it up, and it should be somehow addressed. And I think that when we talk about the baiting issue and the one tag, if they'd have gone about it and said, you know what, because of baiting, our success rate is at 60%. So
Hmm.
our deer numbers are down. If we want to keep a two tag system, we need to get rid of baiting. That would have gone over way better than saying that
Yeah.
CWD, which I don't think people are going to believe them on. Um,
Right.
so I
Yeah.
think that there's just some small things we could do, and it's not just them, it's the hunters too, because we bitch and complain about them and we jump on them, and it's
Yeah.
Well,
they're out there doing their job. I saw my warden Courtney, and she's a wonderful lady, and she's out there protecting our resources and doing her job. And it's a scary time right now.
it
Your
is.
chances of pulling up on a poacher and them shooting back at you nowadays, there's a hell of a lot more than it used to be. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
um, you
Well,
know,
and I agree with you, John. And I think that's why, in my perspective, that's why I want to work with the Game and Fish Department, because if we don't tell our story, and get to where we need to be, I mean, we can't let them do it on their own, because they're going to make the wrong decisions from what's out in the field. And we can't let we're fortunate that our Game and Fish Department is not a commissioner based Game and Fish Department, because then it gets political. And, I don't know if you guys recognize in Washington state what's happened. They got a
Mhm.
liberal governor there, and he appointed
Oh yeah.
new commissioners. And those commissioners on the game and fish department, their attitudes toward hunting is, we don't want to use hunting as a management tool. So they're trying to relegate hunting as very a minor piece. We're already a very minor, very low percentage of the population. We're like, the hunters are 5% of the population. So we're already at a disadvantage. So
Right.
we have to make sure that we're working with these game and fish departments and working to make it better, not have some commissioner come in and dictate what they're going to do without us having any say, like they are in some of these states,
Uh,
Washington, Colorado, and some of
Yeah.
these areas.
right.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
again, Wayne, who is all on that board of yours? Who's all there? Because that's
Um,
one of the things. My complaint is, I just want to hear tell me who's all on it for what organizations or what.
Yeah, Brock Wall from the Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, Daryl Belisle, and actually Steve Gorowski's been filling in for him from the North Dakota Bowners Association, and then a Bo Wisness. He's the advisory board member from out west. He's from the Keene area, and then myself as outdoors person and ambassador for Pope and Young, and also for, I practically live out in the Badlands. I work with a lot of the ranchers. I know tons of people out there, and I talk to them on a regular basis. So, yeah, that's who's on the committee. Then there's several. There's one, two, three, four or five other members of the Game and Fish Department that are on there. Bruce
Yeah.
Stillings and Casey Anderson and
So
William Hasse and yeah.
here's my dilemma. So and again, I get crucified on some of these things, but I don't care. It's like, so North Dakota
Mhm.
Bull Hunters Association, I think, is a good choice, but I think the North Dakota Bull Hunters Association has made a couple mistakes, and in today's world, it's really easy to send a poll out and
Mhm.
have your opinion as the North Dakota Bull Hunters Association go in line with who you're representing, because they're hired by us in this group. I mean, we pay our dues and we elect
Yeah.
officials, no different than our government, and they're supposed to work
Mhm.
for their constituents. So I don't like the idea of them making decisions based on what they feel.
Mhm.
That's just, and that's not I'm not complaining about any certain one of them, any way, shape, or form, but I think
Right.
that we could have sent a poll out. As far as backcountry hunters and angler, maybe a great organization. I see you smirking there. And Brockwall, yeah, he's probably not my favorite kid on the block, but he's got a passion.
Mhm.
I just told him his
Mhm.
passion. He just needs to learn to control it a little bit because he gets a little bit too passionate. But again, what are they bringing to the table from North Dakota? North Dakota is 96% private land. So why do we have an organization that does not represent private land whatsoever? And why don't we have 6 ranchers and farmers on there? Because North Dakota is 91% private. 91% of all white-tailed deer are shot on private land in the whole United States. And I think that's a mistake that the Game and Fish makes, is why isn't there more representation of the people that are allowing everybody to get to hunt these deer?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
we
I
don't
agree. Yeah. Yeah, I agree, and I think that's why they brought in Bo Wistus, because he's a rancher from out
Yep,
west, and he understands, and he's a good communicator out there, as I am as well, because we help ranch out
yep,
in the out west in a lot of places, and that's where I feel I have an advantage of this, because I don't have an agenda. I don't have some backing of some organization or
right. And
some
that's
club group or whatever, and that's
Yeah.
where I look at as an overall, and
absolutely,
that's where
that's
I feel, yeah, you got to have
that's
those
huge,
type of people there.
because everybody's got an agenda. I mean,
Mhm.
again, and and we all do. I mean,
Yeah.
we all want to see what we believe in, but again,
Right.
when you have an organization, or you have a national organization that's funded by, whether you want to call it liberals or
Mhm.
conservatives or whoever, you have an agenda and you're getting it pushed by that national base. And again, if it has nothing to do with North Dakota, and again, Backcountry Hunters and Angler may not be a bad organization in the state of Utah, where they have
Mhm.
9 billion acres of public land.
Yeah.
But North
Right.
Dakota, we don't have, it's not that big of a, it's like, so not saying that it can't be on the board, but again, look at the people that a little bit better representation of
Yeah.
the whole
The whole
pizza or the
picture.
whole
Yeah.
pie.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And you have to watch what you do, because if you, like I said, if you change things, you can't get some of this stuff back.
No,
So we have to be very careful. And I think some guys are thinking, well, let's go to a one tag system, let's go to unitized systems, let's do certain things. And I brought up a lot of suggestions early on with all this, and we look at all this, and it's like, okay, maybe this isn't going to work what I first suggested, or maybe this will work. And now we can start, you know, disseminating what's going to be best, and hopefully we can come up with a good solution that's not going to affect the residents, at least not initially, and see what we can do. And maybe it's starting on the non-resident piece, and I think that's where I would be focused on more so, and start with something like that before you start hammering the residents on changing a lot of the systems. See if that makes a difference, and then maybe down the road you have to do something. But a big change all at once is not going to be good either.
no. And like I said, again, I feel for the game and fish because they have to make some, tough decisions. But
Mhm.
again, I think that we should have a bigger say in some of this stuff.
Mhm.
And again, someone goes, "Well, you're not a biologist." Well, you know what? I don't have a biology degree, but I've said this before. I would say that the odds of Wayne or myself or whatever spending as much time or more time than most biologists get a chance to spend in the outdoors. Again, I don't have to have a science degree to tell you what kind of health my herd.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
The
mean,
deer
you got eyes on
Exactly.
it way more than you got eyes on the deer way more than a lot of
and
these
I'm
guys
not
do.
Yeah.
taking anything away from a biologist by whatsoever, but our world has changed. And I think that some of the stuff has gotten so political that it's hard to keep your finger on it. And it's not a lot of fun
Mhm.
to have to even get in the middle of it because, I say one thing and I get just hammered. I mean, I've been put on national talk forums and belittled and, all that stuff. And I'm like, because I have an opinion. And that's sad because it's like, that's what makes this world go round is that I have never belittled anybody for having an opinion. It's like, that's your choice. I just don't agree with it, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to yell at you and I'm not going to call you
Yeah.
out on national TV or whatever and say, Wayne Muth is full of shit. I don't believe a word he said.
Well, everybody's opinion gets blown out of proportion
Oh,
nowadays,
it
no
Yeah.
matter
does,
what
and
it
Yeah.
it's
is.
like we can't even have a conversation anymore and without getting mad. It's like when we had the
Yep.
conversation about crossbows, I wasn't
Yep.
yelling at you, you weren't yelling at me.
Right.
And what happened? We came up with, later on, we did some research, and you have a different opinion. And again,
Yeah.
mine isn't
Yeah.
one way or another. It's just trying to put the facts out there so people have a chance
Yeah.
to think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Well,
That's
I'll tell you what, guys, I hate to end it, but we're at about an hour 40 here.
okay.
And I'm serious. Let's come back later this summer here, or maybe this spring, and let's talk some deer numbers. And Wayne, we'll have that. You have that meeting coming up. Maybe give us a little
Yeah,
more information
can
on
do
that,
that.
and
You bet.
what we come up with, and I'll bring them articles up, John. We'll talk crossbow numbers and then
Yeah,
and the harvest and that, because like I said, I've
Yeah,
seen a few of
can
those,
do
and I
that.
was like, yeah, looks like they're taking more, and we'll
yeah,
see what happens. We'll keep our fingers crossed for some rain here, right, this spring,
yeah,
because
yeah.
Yeah, right now it
Luckily,
would
we
be
had all the
good.
snow last year. Yeah. Hey,
hey,
Wayne,
Brent,
quick question for you. Do you guys have any meeting notes or anything that go with those meetings that they share with the public?
Um, Not at this point that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I know that some of the guys have been kind of taking notes, at least I do. We kind of go over we just went over the survey that they got back, and we all got a copy of it.
Hmm.
And then we're supposed to review the survey. It's like, I don't know, 25 pages. And it's really in depth because they send them out directly to the landowners themselves, and those who hunt and those who don't hunt. So they got the survey back from them and what they're
That's
seeing.
good.
And I mean, you could tell that there's some subjectivity in there, because there's sometimes not facts that can lead up to what they're
Right.
saying is happening or what they feel. So you can filter through some of that. So I'm starting to get my list of things that's saying, okay, this is where I'm seeing it, this is where I'm seeing it, this would be my recommendations and such. So, but we'll update everybody. It'll be good. It'll
Yeah.
be
Well, I
good.
appreciate you, being on there, and everybody, even Brock
Yeah.
Wall,
Yeah.
whoever.
I mean,
It's nice that they're taking the time to try to figure things out for
yeah.
us.
And we had like a 4-hour meeting last time.
Well,
It's like it's
yeah.
not something you just sit down and in a half hour you go over the stuff. It's a lot of discussion. They brought in the one of the guys from the survey team, or who got the survey out of the University of Wyoming, who did it for us, I believe is where it came from. So yeah, it's really in depth, and it's Game and Fish Department is really looking to do the right thing.
Yeah,
I
and
truly believe
I
that.
believe they
So
try
that,
to.
yeah,
Well, like I said, we'll come back. I'm looking forward to hearing what comes down
yeah,
with this, Wayne. And hey, Rich, I see you commented, buddy. Appreciate you coming in late. Brian, he said he enjoyed the show. Josh said great show. Appreciate you guys all tuning in. And
yeah.
don't forget, Friday at 8:15 a.m. Central, you're gonna get. Well, Clay's not gonna be there. He's still gonna be pig hunting, but Mikey D is gonna be on with Todd Mitchell on Mitchell in the morning, 8:15 till 9. Talking some Second Amendment stuff there on like he does every Friday, him and Clay. And of course, next Wednesday, Guns in the 701 will be back on. Clay will be there, and a couple weeks from now, it might be bow hunting again. I'm not sure. I still got my buddy. I know him and his daughter come to your camp, John Brad Veith, and his
Yes,
daughter. Yeah,
he's
Heath, yeah,
he's a great
yeah,
guy.
yeah. I'm
He's
definitely gonna get Brad on, and hopefully his daughter, and talk some bow hunting and youth bow hunting, and she's into the big what are they, the Nishua? You guys do the
issue, yeah.
shooting, the
and
bow
an
hunting.
issue, and then she does like that. They have different leagues. I forget the name of the organization,
Yep.
but they've done well.
Yeah, yep. I'm gonna have her on, and I got my buddy Tyson. He wants to come back on. We want to talk
Mhm.
some deer sheds, because of course the muleys haven't dropped theirs yet, and most guys I know are in mule deer country. So as far as whitetails go,
Yeah.
I got some ideas here coming up, and definitely gonna have you guys back on. I really appreciate you guys coming on
Thank
here.
you.
Yeah.
It was fun. I enjoyed doing this kind of stuff. We'll get you back on, and of course. Like I said, Friday, Mitchell in the morning. Next Wednesday, Guns in the 701. Clay will be back. I'm sure he'll have an update on the pig hunting. And I go to all our social media. We're on pretty much everything now. I guess I'm on TikTok. I'm going to delete that. I don't do much on TikTok. Shelby said it's kind of a young person's thing in their 20s, and I agree with her when she said that on Scott's show. I don't get on there much. I get videos from people all the time, but I'm more of an old fuddy-duddy Facebook, YouTube kind of guy. So,
Yeah.
and we got our website.
That's
Check
right.
that out, or on X. I'm going to keep the one on X because they actually let you say whatever the hell you want on there and post what you want, pretty much. So, but all
There you
right,
go.
guys.
Oh,
Hey,
man, thanks a lot.
Yep,
hey, thanks a
appreciate-
lot. Thanks, John.
Yep.
Thanks, Jamie, for asking
Yep,
us. Appreciate it.
both of you guys. Anytime you guys want to come back on, let me know. We'll get her done. So
I always love talking.
Yeah.
you bet.
Yeah.
You bet.
Give us a call, Jamie.
You bet. Me too.
Let us know, man. We'll
Yeah.
come on.
Sounds good, guys.
Okay.
Appreciate you coming on once again. Everybody have a good one. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Sounds good. Thank you.